TV. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trentovision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trentovision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Hey, welcome to Act 3 of our three-part presentation every day, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. This is the 5 to 6 hour Act 3, if you will. Our theme for today's presentation for you is the afternoon after the morning after. You get that? The afternoon, it's the afternoon time, after the morning after. There was a little bit of a hangover, Obama hangover for the Mitt Romney supporters on the 7th, which was yesterday. And we had a therapeutic show where we allowed everyone to kind of vent their feelings and then say, all right, guys, we got to get back in the saddle and go to the moon and fight the fire, to mix a few metaphors. How's that? And today we're having a second therapeutical day because I'm getting emails like this one, which says it's time to go Galt. Okay? If Obama is reelected, this is Tom Trento for those of you just tuning in on your drive home at 6 minutes after 5 on the Trentovision show. If you're driving, you're not watching most likely. You're listening on WNN 1470, and you can advertise. You who owns a business, give us a call. If Obama is reelected, I'm reading an email I got yesterday. Good, hard-working people should give up and go Galt.
Galt.
John Galt.
John Galt. Who is John Galt, Mark?
John Galt, Ayn Rand. He separated and started his own little country.
He is the antithesis to the socialistic, collectivistic idea that was rampant, dominant throughout the book, which is the idea right now that's going on, this socialistic, collectivistic, big government, nanny state. Well, the writer said if Obama is elected, this isn't a writer, this is actually an email to a friend of mine who sent it out to others saying, this is what Joe Blow, our other friend, says. If Obama is reelected, good, hardworking people should give up and go Galt. The tipping point in the United States of America is the 2012 election. Will the makers finally succumb to the takers? What a great phrase. That is good. Will the makers finally succumb to the takers? It's pointless to think that if America reelects the most unqualified, disastrous president in recent memory, we should stand our ground and continue fighting. It's a signal that the Marxist free lunchism and free birth control for everyone trumps economic well-being and prosperity in the minds of the masses. Or as the Prague newspaper said, it was a great phrase. Let me get the phrase back. They said, the vast confederacy of fools that made Obama their prince. The vast confederacy of fools. Wow. I'd like to talk, wouldn't you like to talk, guys, to one of these members of the vast confederacy of fools who voted for President Obama? If you have voted for President Obama, we'd like you to give us a call, 888-565-1470. Don't hold your breath, everybody. I don't think the phones are going to ring off the hook. I find it very difficult to have people who have that position engage in the public forum, but maybe somebody will call.
Maybe reality's starting to sink
I
in.
don't know. How many debates did you have with people who were voting for him?
Well, I could give you a more shocking reality. Today's reality is go look at your NASDAQ quotes. Go look at your NASDAQ bank stocks and look how they're just diving today.
These people don't care.
And look at the gold prices. They're going up.
They don't care because the rest of us...
Well, this is very important. Wait. All right, for you viewers and listeners, we're discussing The end of America as we know it. We've entitled this Post-America America. Herman Cain called for a possible third party to fight through this. We're going to discuss that. But right now we're discussing the implications of the Obama administration on good people that are writing to us. And Mark's talking about the stock market. And CJ has a very critical point to make. Yeah, make that point.
Oh, no, I'm just saying. Absolutely, the stock market's going to tank. The country's going to go down the tubes. And the people who voted for Obama don't care. Why? Because the rest of us are going to continue to go to work. The rest of us are going to pay taxes. And they are going to be getting their government handouts that we paid for.
Well, where's the money going to come from? When hold on, time. Let me give the viewers a visual.
Okay, just say over.
Over. Let me give the viewers.
I have to referee sometimes between CJ and the disembodied voice. Wait. And so we came up with a thing. When one of them is finished, the other has to say over, like if they're walkie-talkies. Go ahead.
Let me give the viewers a visual. Have you ever been to to an amusement park?
No, but I am freezing. It is cold in here.
It is cold in here.
Ever been to an amusement park and you go, it goes click, 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 all the way up just to the top of the thing, and then it goes, and then you get the woo. Well, that's where we're at. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think the woo up is going to come anytime soon. This is going to be a nice little free fall of, I mean, this people are running. I mean, we hear it from just the average person. I'm selling everything. I'm doing everything. I'm buying gold. I'm getting everything.
Okay, but that's the average person who voted for Romney. That's not the average person
those ones
who
that have the
voted
money.
for Obama.
Those are the ones who have the money.
No, you're not. You're incorrect there, because the people who have the most money in this country, the wealthiest people in this country, who live in California and New York, they voted for Obama. Okay?
Did I say over?
He got you on that one.
He got you
on that one.
But let me add one thing to what you're saying, because we're going to talk about whether we should have a third party or not. Right. And I have to say that the GOP platform, we talked about the Democrat Party platform earlier. The GOP platform has a preamble and is dedicated with appreciation and reverence for their platform. The wisdom of the framers of the United States Constitution, who gave us a republic, as Benjamin Franklin cautioned, if we can keep it. Can we keep the republic the way it is now? And if we can't, does a third party make a difference and change that?
That's in the preamble?
Yeah.
No. The preamble. This platform is dedicated with appreciation and reverence for the wisdom of the framers of the United States Constitution, who gave us a republic, as Benjamin Franklin cautioned, if we can keep it.
That's very good.
But it's not a republic anymore, is it? It's a democracy where the people have figured out they can vote themselves money from the government. That's the reason democracies always fail. That's the reason a republic was the design.
Yeah, to have that insulation by you elect a representative. You don't have a direct say in what takes place. You exact and the representative is supposed to be smart enough to look at all of his people and say, those are the stupid ones over there. I ain't doing what they want to do. But when the stupid ones get their guy in and you get enough of that, then you're in trouble. Listen to this. I got this email. Last night, a friend of mine made up a business card that reads, I'm going to read a business card, and they're handing it out. Due to the re-election of President Obama, I am expecting my taxes to increase. Therefore, I'm currently unable to make contributions to your charity. To thank the president or ask him for help, please call the White House at 202-266-7453 or 202-456-1414. To thank Congress or ask them for help, please call the Capitol at 202-224-3121. And this person's giving the cards out.
Where can we get those?
Yeah, we
need to get some of those.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of donation dollars driving.
Here's how stupid the left is. Again, you have a very good point, because the criticisms we're making really don't affect that 40%, 47% that are sucking up. They're the makers and the takers. They're the takers, They don't care where the makers get it from, and they don't care what happens to the makers. They're just sucking it up. They're the takers.
And
How do you change that?
Well, first of all, you're going to see that $16 trillion debt balloon and balloon and balloon and balloon and balloon. And then it's going to start looking like Europe and Greece when things start to collapse and you start to see riots in the streets. And until the whole thing completely breaks down, are you going to get a change? No other way, because, like you said, Tom, they're going to keep taking and taking and taking until they cut up the credit card. And as long as the credit card keeps swiping, they're going to keep spending.
Well, Herman Cain yesterday said, former presidential candidate Herman Cain is calling for the creation of a third political party. Listen to this. Unreal. What a cover-up. Great to watch the Harvard. Before I thought I was watching it, you wouldn't be a boy, you're wrong. No, it's something else.
Are you talking like a Democrat, Tom?
Yes, I was. Yeah, Obama, beep! Obama, beep! Obama, beep!
Beep Israel. Beep, 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 Israel.
Former Republican candidate Herman Cain is calling for the creation of a third political party, saying it is clear to him that neither major political party is willing to address the nation's economic problems. He said, "We need a third party to save this country. This country's in trouble, and it is clear that neither party is going to fix the problems we face."
Well, there are some serious problems inside the Republican Party. I do agree, wholeheartedly agree. From the Islamic issue to the economic issue to everything else, to many issues, to a strategy issue of how to get a person elected president. They are woefully doing a bad job right now. And if they keep on the same path, if they keep rearranging in deck chairs on the Titanic, that is where it's eventually going to go, because people are going to one day get eventually fed up, and they're going to do that. I, however, do not agree that is the best solution, but where are we going to go? Over.
Is it back to you, Ted, or is it to me?
To you, Mary.
Well, I think it's more. I think more than a new. I think a third political party doesn't really solve the problem, and the reason is because a third political party would still have to operate in a country with no independent media, and I think without the media, a truly independent media, informing people of what news actually is occurring. And the woeful state of the education system controlled by the federal government in this country, that a third party won't matter, because you're going to have a nation full of uninformed people from the school system and from the media system, and those same people are still going to have the same information and make the same incorrect decisions. Over.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. The Republican Party is like, how could we lose against this guy, Barack Obama? He's worse than Carter. What happened? What happened? I mean, they're all going around, what happened? And, we actually
and this is a president that
we actually had a solution here. Where we were at, efforts that we did, we actually had an increase into the Republican.
Oh, we're in our little world over here in South Florida.
We actually increased while the rest of the state, went the other way. We know how to do it.
Okay, now we just need to do it around the
Now
whole
we
world.
just need everyone
right.
to listen to us.
Yes, that would be it.
We actually
what Mark
increased
is
our numbers.
talking about is the area we're in, Palm Beach County. There was a tangible, definable, empirical increase in registered voters and knowledge on the issue, all of that in Palm Beach County, and the voting record showed county didn't go for Mitt Romney. It's a hardcore Democrat county, but there was a significant improvement, and we've been doing a lot of work here specifically on these issues with that intent to move the needle.
We had 85,000 vote increase.
Yeah, with others. I mean, it wasn't just us,
I
but,
understand that,
but we added to it.
But it was a collective effort. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mary?
No, I'm agreeing. It takes a lot of work, but I think it takes more than just educating people during an election cycle. I think
Right,
what you really need is a complete cultural shift in this country.
Aha!
Now we
Which-
get the message and the message.
Which, and I don't think a third political party is the avenue for making that happen.
Well, I am starting to think that way. I have always been a opponent of a third party for the reasons we're discussing. And if you guys at home at 20 minutes past 5, driving your car, whatever, you're listening to us on WNN 1470 on the right-hand side of your little radio dial. Tom Trento, Mark, the disembodied voice that pops up as SpongeBob or whatever on the video. CJ over there, our Jewess, our Jewish lady.
Oh, that is
And
awful. Don't call
well, we
me
do so
that.
many Jewish things here, but we have the we
Our
have the
house Jew.
we have
Come
the
Our token house Jew here.
well, we got a token Unitarian, and
Token Christian.
I'm the token Christian, so we got it covered. The issue at hand, and if anybody has any insight into third parties, give us a call, 888-565-1470, 888-565-1470. I've always historically been opposed to these things, with the idea of being able to reform or revitalize the Republican Party, and I chose the Republican Party simply because of its platform, of its belief system. In terms of what I believe is true in the world, the articulation of the principles of the Republican Party come most closest to what I believe is true in the world.
Right.
So the way you get things done is you participate in a party to get things done,
Right.
a political party. Well, I've been trying to participate in reforming the party for 30 years, and it's going the wrong direction. Okay, and now we have fabulously interesting, and I would love to do a historical study of third parties in the cultural context they were in to see which ones actually had any impact. But now we have not only a weakened on principle Republican Party, as we saw with Mitt Romney, and we all voted, we're good soldiers, we'll march, but when he didn't address the Benghazi situation,
That was
Yeah.
almost a red line.
that was a red line in terms of tactics, and not just us, because we're pretty good at this national security, but our teammates on Team B2, our colleagues, some of whom have been on the show, Admiral Lyons and others, everybody was going nuts and saying he's been briefed on it, he knows it, it's his shot, take a shot, you can win, you can do this, and he sidestepped it and talked about a stupid 5-point economic plan, which is in the garbage can right now.
Yeah.
You see that there's too much capitulation, appeasement to the dynamic social forces at hand. The various interest groups, whether they're gay groups or Latino groups or Christian groups or whatever they are, that there isn't a clear walking with principles saying, folks, this is where we're going, and if you want to participate in this, you come with us. And that's the way it used to be when people lived on principle. So I'm starting to think that because people do not live on principle anymore, and these parties don't really articulate, and their behavior is not to advance the principles of their party, maybe a third party, a oppositional party to both, that is pure and rigorous in its belief system and in its position, very little compromise. I understand that politics is the art of compromise, but this party would be designed to disrupt both of those parties, to bring them closer to this. It's an educational party. I'm starting to think along those lines. There may be something to that.
Oh, you got a point there, and here's the supporting argument for what you're saying too, is you look inside the Republican Party, and Tom, you know as well as I do. I mean, and we attacked them rigorously, the Republican Party, about the influences that are the nefarious influences that are inside the Republican Party at the highest of levels. At the highest of levels.
Nefarious. That's a great word, but they are nefarious. Yes.
And they're calling
That means
themselves
bad guys.
Yeah. And that they're systemic ingrained, and that's the argument for the third party, is because the Republican Party's unwilling to get rid of these people, and they are undermining the messaging of the whole Republican ideology. Whereas, hey, we need to be strong on Islamic terrorism. Well, no, we got people like Grover Norquist inside, who's the most powerful man in the Republican Party, according to
a lot of these pundits and everybody.
Right. Yet he's just walking, clearly through it, and he's the one who put Al-Moody right next to George Bush, and who's a convicted terrorist, who's admitted convicted terrorist. And we had with the interview with Jahari Malik, who confirmed all of our bad, our bad knowledge of Grover Norquist and everybody else who's inside the Republican Party.
For some of the folks listening and watching, don't understand the inside stuff. You may not understand the inside stuff Mark is speaking about. And we're good Republicans in this room. Even the, but you got to be critical of your own party. In the upper echelon of the Republican Party, as it relates to national security issues and the Muslim Brotherhood, it has been seriously infiltrated, starting back with Bill Clinton in the Democrat Party, through George Bush heavily, and certainly and unknowingly in many respects in the Bush administration. In the Obama administration, the Brotherhood is not unknowingly allowed entrance. It's invited in as the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, in the Republican Party, there's been an infiltration of people that are pro-Islamic Sharia law, pro-Islamic ideology. And we've been battling that. And our good friend Frank Gaffney's been battling it for 5 years and been thrown out of many of the traditional stalwart conservative organizations in D.C. So Mark's argument is we got serious problems at that level within our party. So, and
we even see.
Interesting.
Well, let me just point out
888-565-1470. If we're struggling here, if you guys can help us out, 888-565-1470.
Where do we go, third party or Republican?
What do we do?
What do we do?
Let me point out one thing to you guys while you're talking about a third party. First of all, I just want to point out to you that the reason why we had Bill Clinton in the first place is because we had Ross Perot.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the counter-argument.
In the second place, all the information that didn't get percolated out from the Republican Party to these voters, how do you think your third party is going to get the information out any differently? What do you think the third party is going to do that's going to be different? You're not going to win any elections. You're just going to make absolutely positively sure that only Democrats get elected at every single level of government from here for the next 30 or 40 years, because you're going to ruin it for any real Republican to get elected.
Maybe we need to go down the John Galt path and let it all just completely burn down before we get it back. Because that's the other argument. Hey, we'll go for a third party because we're going to stand by our principles. We know the country's going to burn down. We're going to let it burn down all the way until it can be recovered from its original roots.
Okay.
And that's where we need to go. And that's the other argument for the third party. He says, let it go. Hey, it's the only way to get these Republicans out who are infiltrated, who are compromised, because it's a good old boy network. We're tired of it. We're sick of it. We're going to stand by our principles. We don't care what. We want let it all come down to its burning ashes. Then we can rebuild it.
It will be burning ashes is what it will be.
Yeah.
Well,
we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
I have a little different twist. My twist is that the existing dynamics.
And I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Whichever way you advocated, I figured I would advocate in the opposite direction.
That's good. I have a little different twist, but I want to hear what Kathy has to say because she may have an interesting twist. Hi, Kathy. You're with Tom and CJ and Mark. We're trying to figure out what the heck to do.
Ditto. And I'm just fascinated with your program today because these are all the things that we've been doing here, and someone just left my house a little while ago, and we were mulling over these same sorts of things based on an email I sent out to the chapter yesterday and got back last night from a person in the audience, a young girl that when we went out to hear one of those interfaith discussions.
No, those are
And she
deaf.
replied, oh, yes. I'm going to email that to you because it has prompted, and you'll see my reply in that. I think we have to dig clear to the bottom, which is meaning educate. And I don't know how to do it, but this is interesting with the third party. I think there's one dynamic in play that has not been in play before. We are on the verge, and by the end of this 4 years, unless there's some kind of a miracle or an act of God, we'll be in the biggest mess we've ever been in. And that has not been in play when third parties have been significant movements in our history. They've never faced losing this country to the degree we are today. And I'm wondering how that factor would play into a third party, because normally it does all the things you all have just been talking about when you create a third party.
That's a great point.
That's a really good point, Kathy. Let me ask you this. What do you think the third party would look like and sound like? Who would be composing the third party?
I think it's the very people that are feeling like we feel right now. I think it needs a think tank. I think it needs to be a huge discussion, and because I think all these factors that you all have discussed need to be considered, because what's missing is the vehicle. And when I send you, Tom, this email, I think you'll see what I'm trying to get at, and may not be expressing real well, but I think we have to get at and look at, and it's been part of my depression, is realizing I'm losing what I never thought I would lose, the values and people that we might as well not have a constitution when you look at the executive orders and the way they're governing.
Right.
Herman Cain said, in answer to the question that we're asking, he said that it would take money, leadership, and at least 50 coalitions, one from each state, to create a viable third political party, because each state has a set of wacky rules.
Right.
So you'd have to get coalitions. He said this new party would be made up not only of disenfranchised Republicans but also Democrats.
Yeah.
Said there's just as many disgruntled Democrats who'd probably be part of this movement as there are Republicans who are sick of the political class. Now here's my argument. My argument is very simple. The way the demographics are in the country right now, there were 3 frightening statistics that came out of this election. That the black vote is up 2 or 3 percentage points to like 19 points or so, almost 20. The women's vote, young women's vote, is up to almost 20%. And the third category was the third category? It was,
Hispanic?
Oh, the Latino vote. Yeah, the Hispanic vote is 13, 14, 15%, getting close to 20% of those people vote. There's 60% of that group, which are Democrats, basically, that are going to be voting. And if they continue in that direction, and they will if they're pandered to by this administration, the writer and the analysts were saying, forget about a Republican president for the rest of your life.
Right.
Because that tipping point would be reached. Now, if that's the case, then, putting lipstick on the pig, metaphorically, the Republican Party pig, ain't going to do it. Maybe it's going to take a dynamic movement that has a more vital element, going back to the early days where belief in God was more prominent and more forceful than, and not in a Sharia compliant way where you do the will of God by killing people.
Well, that's a belief in Allah. That's not really the same thing.
You do the will of God by loving people and helping and extending and working and all of that built this country. Maybe a party like that can sort of show the way and help the other two groups coalesce and say, oh my God, these people are gaining strength. We better follow
be
their
like
lead.
them.
Yeah, exactly, instead of the other way around. I think I'm going to start that party. I think I'm going.
What should we call it, Tom?
Trento Vision. Trento Party. Yeah, great, right?
Here's
I'm
one
on
key
board
thing.
with it. I can tell you that because
Okay.
I do believe.
Okay, send
Well,
your membership fee to Tom Trento.
Yeah, here's one key thing that we're all overlooking, is that the messaging. How does the messaging get out for this party? You've got the big three news networks that
Screw
are
them. We got new media. We get it
Beep
out.
'em.
We get them out.
Well, what I'm saying is, Fox is not going to support a third party.
Win
Well, what
by
my
all
point?
of the electronic stuff that the Republican
point
Party
being-
did not do, and I'm not techie, so I've got a big mouth going here. But if that media can be captured, I mean the techie way, and the new stuff,
You know her.
then
California.
it could be done if you had the people that in the party, in the new party, that were on top of that kind of thing.
Well, the point being is, I mean, once you start going down that direction, the media is going to paint whatever third party comes up as the worst white racist hate group, hate
I have a
mongers
question.
in the
Except
world.
if it was founded by Herman Cain, it kind of.
No, it would be just the opposite, Mark.
And the other thing is, we know that, and so we need to come up with good, and I'm just educational responses. One that isn't a wham-wham response, but a response that educates and says, yes, you can think that, but here's reality.
Right.
Yeah, Mark, your analysis on the surface makes sense. Oh, third party, bunch of nitwits, no media coverage. Just the opposite. Because look at the Tea Party. I mean, we got sort of a prototypical model in the Tea Party movement.
Yes.
I was waiting to hear if that was going to come up.
It wasn't a third party. It was never intended to be. And I never really became a member of the Tea Party. I've spoken. All of us have been there. Mm-hmm. But the Tea Party garnished so much what's called earned media. They had cameras following them, not because they paid for it, but because they earned it by what they were doing and saying.
Yes.
Oh, no, because they had cameras on them because
It was a
people were
mistake.
watching for them to mess up.
Right.
And they
did.
wanted to be the first
They
to
did.
report it. And when they couldn't report it, they made it up.
Yeah, but that would be the case with this new party. I mean, if Herman
Exactly.
Cain,
that was my point,
Right.
yeah.
if 50 key people came together and formed this coalition and all of that, I don't know. Maybe Lee from Fort Lauderdale knows. Lee, what are your thoughts on this?
My feeling is that we ought to return to what George Washington said, have no parties. And as a result, a man will vote his conscience, not what his party tells him to do.
All right, well, how does that work? I mean, you got...
Basically, you send a man up to be elected based on his character, not based on what the party is.
And take all the D's and the R's off the name tags.
you have to have some sort of selection process, or everybody and their brother is going to want to be the president of the United States. So how do you
Fine, put them on the ballot.
put them all on the
Somebody's
ballot?
gonna come forward to be a person of character.
It's going to be a big ballot, man. Let me tell you. That's going to be a
You ought to
big ballot.
you ought to check George Washington. He said the worst thing could happen to this country would be parties to be ruling this country.
Well, you raise a good structural question about whether or not the party as it is right now has morphed into something just totally crazy. Whether or not, going back to the time when there were 4 people living in America,
Yeah.
and
Well,
you had to
yeah.
ride horseback to get somewhere.
Well, if you want to go all George Washington on us, and I'm not discounting.
No, he may have a
then-
good point there.
Well, he has a point, but that's when it was a republic, not a
Yeah.
democracy. The republic was the wealthy landowners determined the fate, and also
you couldn't even vote unless you owned land.
and the state
I'll
senate
return to that one.
and the senators were appointed by the state. They weren't a elected position because you wanted to have that balance of power to prevent a democracy from happening. What is happening now?
Yeah, it looks like, Lee, what's happened is larger this thing America became, and the more the legislative end had to figure out how to make it work on a macro scale, we got all of this craziness. So you may have a good point. I mean, we're gonna pursue this because I think we got serious problems with the Democratic demographics and the pandering of this administration to them. That is going to create, as our last caller, our last expert guest that used the term tsunami in his book, there's going to be a cultural tsunami that conservatives just can't stand against. I mean, it's going to be too
Look
difficult.
at the corruption that both parties engaged in until the media brought it out that they were allowed to do insider trading, whereas everyone else cannot do insider trading. every congressman benefited from that, Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
And that just shows how corrupt this whole government has become.
Yeah, you're making an argument for a third party, in my mind, even more. Well, thank you, Lee, very much. Appreciate it. Keep listening.
Thank you, Lee.
Tell your friends about the show, and we're here for you. And Kathy, you still there?
I am.
What was it like voting in the state of California? You're from California, right?
Yes.
Yes, I know. But we're telling the audience that 40 minutes past 5 o'clock, and in your little state, 40 minutes past 2 o'clock on TrentoVision.tv, WNN 1470. What was it like, voting and going through all this stuff in California?
Well, I was a poll observer in a very interesting place, meaning it was out at our fairgrounds. And directly across the street from the entrance to the voting place is a mosque. And the mosque happens to also be where a madrasa is located here in Bakersfield. We have 3 mosques. And
Three mosques in Bakersfield?
In Bakersfield, hold on.
Wait a minute.
Well, let me do the demographic Muslim calculation on that. Okay, 1 mosque for each Muslim.
Oh, my gosh. If you build it, they will come.
If they build it, they will come, yeah.
Yeah.
They have
Wow.
300,000 people in Bakersfield, and,
Oh,
okay.
my gosh.
Go ahead. Keep going.
At 1%. Do the math.
Okay, sorry to interrupt on that, but
No,
just
that's
wow.
fine. Yeah, and I had no idea what I was going to because I'd never done it before. And I will say it was very well organized. The person in charge of the entire building, in which they stuffed 11 precincts.
Wow.
That was horrible when it got busy. It was fine when it was just a slow, steady stream all day. And people came in. There weren't any incidences that I think I was part of the Election Integrity Project, so I did not see anything that I needed to write up at this particular location, but I did see things that are definitely worth conversation about how to rectify and change. And number 1 is putting 11 precincts in one location without sufficient election workers to observe and monitor. And then, secondly, having more, if they're going to continue with the Election Integrity Project, which I'm sure they will and hope they do, there needs to be more of them in there to do what I'm just, and I don't mean this lightly, but the minor instances where people are on cell phones, their children are knocking on somebody's voting little box thing, where these things were things we observed, adults that had gone to help another adult vote, and there wasn't a real way for us to see if they had signed the form that says they are legally they can do this.
Right. That's something we saw a lot of here in the Fort Lauderdale area in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a whistleblower on that. Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, I'm more concerned not so much about the particulars, the attitude of being a conservative in the state of California, just throwing your vote away. Oh, it's our favorite political cartoonist is recommending a name for our new third party new organization.
Does
should
he
be
have a name and a logo already?
Bleepum.com. Bleepum.com. We like that one.
Yeah, and speaking of felons, there was another proposition to toughen up the three strikes law, and of course, that one they decided no, let them out. So now we will. A lot of these criminals
can't afford to house them anyway. You got to go do something with them. I mean, you're running out of money. You got to turn them out in the streets.
That's right. I mean, what else? I want one for my neighbor.
Exactly. All right, Kathy, we're going to let you go because we have to start winding down here a little bit. It's the middle of the afternoon for you. Have a wonderful time. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you for all you all do.
No problem.
My gosh. And I do send it out to my ACT chapter.
Good.
So
And
I appreciate
post it on your
and I'll
website.
send that email from the gal that sent it to me.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
And post a link on your website. Post the embed code on your website.
Yeah, you can watch the show, run your own website. But we will be in touch and call whenever you like to. Bye-bye, Kathy. Tom Trento here at 48 after the hour, 12 minutes to 6 o'clock. If you have to be somewhere by 6 o'clock, and it's going to take longer than 12 minutes, you're going to be late. So just realize that. That's one of our wisdom words of the day. Okay? Simple math, not that difficult. That was Kathy from California. You know what's cool about this show? Because of all the work we do around the world, we got callers that call in from all over the place. I mean, we don't even know.
I mean, just the callers just today. We had California, Israel,
Palm Beach.
Riviera Beach.
and was one from Pennsylvania or something. I can't.
Oh, New Jersey. I think that was
New
yesterday.
Jersey. We had one from New Jersey.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're coming
Yeah,
all
and
over the
we
place.
had one in Fort Lauderdale too.
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
And we haven't really started pushing this stuff out yet, doing any promotion
we haven't
or
been
marketing.
advertising yet.
No, we don't even advertise our own stuff. So, but we will start doing that for sure. And it is getting dark, so it must be like close to nighttime around here as we're looking outside.
Tails.
And it's still, oh no, look at that. It's 73 in this crazy room right now. And that, that feels colder than 73. But anyway, it's been a very interesting day. We're going to get some closing thoughts from you guys here. Our theme for the play today was the afternoon after the morning after. Okay, because we're still therapeutically reaching out to touch you and assist you through the rocky road of Romney-Ryan. And but you know what? Barring SCOTUS scoring a liberal victory, which is going to be very difficult to do, and barring Israel getting nuclearly annihilated, and barring the complete economic collapse of America, and borrowing the chaotic explosions of the inner cities,
and barring the Muslim Brotherhood rise in the Middle East, barring Iran get the nuclear bomb,
barring all of that, this presidency will be pretty okay, I guess. Pretty okay.
Status quo.
I forgot one. And barring the stock market crashing,
barring all that stuff.
That has happened before, and we have recovered from that.
Yes.
Yeah, but.
Yes.
Usually it took a big war to do it, but...
And my wife keeps trying to remind me, she goes, this country suffered worse. We came to a civil war. We went through 2 world wars. And this is just...
Wrong.
No, I don't,
It's
I
the dynamics are wrong because 2 things. Historically, when we survived all that because the moral strength was sufficient for people to sacrifice their lives, their fortunes, their honors.
Right.
It's reversed.
They're
not going to do that. So when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
The tough already.
When the going gets tough, the takers are going to eat the makers. Is what's going to happen. And to make the equation even worse is the nuclear capability. Bring a couple of bombs up through Mexico. Couple off the coast, 2, 3, 4, 5 nuclear bombs in America, which we all know very well, and it's done, man. We're going to be in the 17th century.
But you got to look at it. You got to look at it at a Kondrakian.
We may need another day.
You got to look at it the Kondrakian curve.
Hold on.
This is our
over. Go ahead.
This is a natural cycle of what democracies and capitalists go through. the Kondrakian curve. It's happened before. It'll happen again. We'll come out of it, and we'll
I
be
just
better.
argue we won't, but go ahead. You can argue a little.
I believe in the American people. I believe in who we are and what we are and what we're going to
The
be.
American people just elected Barack Obama. How could you believe in them?
Okay, I tell you what
It's-
I believe in.
Yeah, so.
If you are over.
Over.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. What I believe in is I believe in the next generation, possibly, or the next generation after that.
Right.
Of this country.
If we
so
last
I
that long.
think what we have to do is we have to be thinking about everything that we're doing now is to lay the groundwork for the next or next after that generation to truly take this country back, because everything that needs to be done is going to require a minimum of 1 to 2 generations to turn it back around to the way it was. So think about that. Think about everything that you're doing as a legacy for the future. And just don't even worry about what's happening now.
Yeah.
Well, you get the preppers are
Because
looking
you
pretty
won't
good to me
see
right
it.
now.
Yeah, they are.
You
The
won't
preppers are
see it
looking
in
pretty
your.
good right
You
now.
won't
problem-
see it in your lifetime.
The problem with
Theoretically, you're 100% right. That's how you change cultures, by looking 1 or 2 generations ahead. But what is the mechanism to do that?
of which to do it.
It's the educational system in the world.
Exactly.
From grammar school through the university, the academy.
Yeah.
Who owns it? Who did this 2
Okay, well,
generations
first-
ago?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's the battle.
Well, first of all, the universities are going to go broke. Okay.
Well, save all
the
of that because
cool-
we don't have time to get into all
Okay.
the details.
Well,
Just
we'll continue that, but
some-
I have a lot of thoughts on
okay.
that.
No, we need to get into that because we've abandoned the academy to the left. They own it. They're pushing out those 2 kids we saw in that video today.
Right
Yeah.
out of the university.
Right there.
Yeah.
MSA,
Beautiful.
we see the MSA.
And the
Yeah.
public school system's pushing out Mr. Jive Man, no Israel, no
Beep.
bleeping Israel, right?
Yeah.
And don't do that. Don't do that. Is that a gang sign?
Yeah, don't,
we gotta be-
Yeah, you're
don't
not
do that.
wearing
the
right
Don't-
colors.
don't do
Yeah,
that.
got the
Tom.
wrong colors on. Got the wrong colors. I know a little gang that comes from Sicily that could help out once in a while if we need some assistance, maybe.
Okay, we'll call them in
it's
because
called
this country
the-
needs some
It's called
help,
the
right?
Sisters of Mary, the Sisters of Mary, and their gracious love for mankind.
Hi,
That's
my
what it's
name is
called.
CJ, and I'm from Our Lady of Southern
There you go.
Comfort.
All right. 15 seconds each for a little whatever you want to say to close out the show, and we'll be out of here.
Yep, I believe in America, and I really do, and I think we can pull through it.
Okay, I yield my time back to you, Mark.
It's a great country. It's the best country in the world. People are dying to get here. It's the last salvation on earth, and we can do it. We can come back.
Okay.
God bless
No, we can't.
No, we're gonna make you
honestly
sing
believe that. I
alone.
honestly believe that.
We're gonna be singing alone. Yeah, that would not work well. I'm with you in spirit.
Well, sometimes
And
that's all you have.
I'll be with you in practice on that. That's what we do. I mean,
I know.
if we didn't believe this stuff, we wouldn't be doing it. But the bad guys are
the
out
metrics,
there.
yeah.
They're getting big. And guess what? We'll be back tomorrow dealing with the bad guys. Thank you all for tuning in, listening on the radio, watching on TV. Go spend some good quality time with your families. And tomorrow we'll invade your brain and help you deal with the problems of the world. Tom Trento signing off for everybody here.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. Thanks for tuning in to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.